My name is Maria Heidenberg Williams. My thoughts about the Dominican Republic, fake news. Whoa, that nothing bad's gonna happen to them. Renting a car, drinking and driving at night. You go like this? Stop it. Hello, my name is Maria Heidenberg Williams. I'm originally from the Grand Rapids, Michigan area, and I've been living here in the Punta Cana, Dominican Republic area for the past 11 years. I wanted to give a little bit of insight as to who I am first, and then go into my story today. Well, typically I talk about real estate things. I've been on HGTV Caribbean Life, ESTV, as well as Punta Cana TV here in the Dominican Republic. So today is a little bit different because I was going to do a follow-up story this month on resales, because last month I did it on pre-construction. However, with all the news in the media right now, I figured it was time that somebody, an American, talk from my perspective of living here for the past 11 years. As to my thoughts about the news media, my thoughts about the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana area, the people, statistics, the deaths, everything else that has to do with the recent media going on. Of course, we know there's a lot of investigation going on right now, and so it's a little bit quiet, although I am very proud of the Dominican government that they're actually working side by side with the World Health Organization as well as the FBI and other investigators here in the country right now to investigate these stories in their entirety as much as they can, and really get some more information as to what really might be happening here in the Dominican Republic. To start with my name, Maria Heidenberg Williams, Heidenberg being German. My father of German, Welsh, mixed Heinz 57 nationality. My mother is, as I said, Puerto Rican and been living in the United States for many, many years. So, in fact, her spelling is a lot better than mine. Way to go, Mom. Anyway, so I am one of 5 siblings. I am a grandmother of 8. And my family resides in the United States, although they have come to visit me here in the Dominican Republic, of course. Who doesn't want to come here? So I was raised in a middle-class, hard-working family. I remember my dad working a couple of jobs, I think one time 3 jobs, and we drove one station wagon that we had to share just so that he could get to the jobs. Mother would have to get up early in the morning to take my dad to work. You know, all five of us at very close to the same age, but small children, so that my mom could have the car during the day. Those were the days. Dad worked really hard to provide for us. My father recently passed away in August. He was involved in a car accident in the United States and had other complications. He had a heart transplant a year prior to his car accident, and ended up dying of kidney failure, unfortunately, in a U.S. hospital from contracting MRSA in a U.S. hospital. So we, my partner and myself, chose the Dominican Republic 11 years ago. Well, actually, probably prior to that, because I had sold real estate in the United States, licensed realtor in the United States, and really was tired of the cold weather and foreclosures and short sales, and really just wanted a better way of life. My partner was eliminated from his position after 20 years of hard service with one company, and then my own position was eliminated as well with a large company. So I started to pursue real estate. I fell in love with real estate, still do. Love, love, love real estate. And real estate here in the Dominican Republic, even more exciting because, well, we don't have weather issues for one thing. It's always nice and warm, and so anyway, the reason I'm doing this broadcast today is I wanted to really show that the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, is still one of the safest destinations probably in the world, but for sure in the Caribbean. And I'm going to actually prove some hard statistics. I have a 10-page report here, and I added to it just this morning. And, because the news just keeps spiraling, and the sensationalization of the news is out of control right now. And we really just need to be more fair and balanced in this whole thing. So as an American, we all rely on the news, but nowadays it's really a lot more difficult to rely on U.S. news. And let's face it, it's not just about the Americans, it's about the whole world. Punta Cana, for example, is host over 6 million tourists a year, which accounts for the country's about 17% of the economy comes from resorts. That's a lot of jobs for Dominicans. And to be honest with you, the average Dominican wage has increased because of the popularity and the economy growth, and because the government does look out for its people here, unlike other countries. But the matter of the fact is that the Dominican Republic really relies on these jobs, and resort jobs are so important. I have many Dominican friends here that work very, very hard. They have to work often 14 days straight a week. They get 3 to 5 days off to visit their families. They get on a bus. They have to travel many hours to other parts of the Dominican Republic in order to stay with their families. So a lot of times their parents or other family members are taking care of the children so that they could have a resort job, which is considered a very good job here. Not the greatest job, but a good job. It's a stable income, and we really rely on that, of course. So, we want to keep it that way. I mean, Dominican Republic, the resorts, I remember when I came in 2008, there were only a few resorts here in the Punta Cana area. I wasn't sure about the entire country, but at that time, just a few resorts. And now we have over 52 all-inclusive resorts along a 30-mile coastline. That's, in my understanding, more resorts within that radius of span of miles than anywhere else in the world. And these are beautiful, all-inclusive resorts. And by the way, not owned by Dominicans, but people from all over the world, not just Americans either. So it's very important that we sustain that economy, because the economy, of course, is what stabilizes any country. And of course, the U.S. should be particular about its allies. Dominican Republic is in a strategic location. What does that mean? That means that the U.S. relies on the Caribbean because, it's the Caribbean. It's kind of the blockade to anything that might happen in the U.S. We need to have strong allies in the Caribbean. Cuba, that's great that Cuba and the United States have some collaboration and allies, but let's hope it stays that way. However, Dominican Republic is the strongest ally with the strongest military force next to Cuba in the Caribbean, the entire Caribbean, and we need to keep that presence there. We Americans need to have those that are protecting us, and Dominicans love Americans. There's so many Dominicans that live in, especially the East Coast of the United States, in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, as well as, of course, Florida, different parts of Florida. So, of course, Dominicans in the United States are also concerned about this, and they should be. This is their country. They love their country. And many of Dominicans are, in fact, prior to all this incidents, are now some of our top clients that we're servicing when they're looking for a vacation rental, or whether they're looking for an investment somewhere to invest, a property to invest in. They're coming back to their homeland because they love their country, they love their people, and they're such family-oriented people. It's hard not to fall in love with the Dominican people because they really are sincere and helpful, and they're not harmful at all. They're probably one of the most peaceful people. I'm sorry, I'm saying that with a lot of passion, because I have a lot of friends in the Dominican Republic. You can imagine, after 11 years, I love Dominicans, and I'd like to think that Dominicans are going to continue to love Americans as well, and that we really need to put some water on this fire that's kind of igniting out of course right now. So getting back to my agenda, I got a little bit off track. I wanted to give people a perspective of the size of the Dominican Republic. Some people have an idea that maybe the Dominican Republic is larger than it is, and maybe some people think that it's a lot smaller than it is. So I want to give the real facts. The Dominican Republic is the second largest island next to Cuba in the Caribbean. And I'm sorry, I got to put my glasses on. I sat on my other ones on the way here. So, Dominican Republic surface size is 48,442 square kilometers. The closest state to the Dominican Republic, one of them is Georgia, which is 69,700 square meters. The population of the Dominican Republic, however, is 10.77 million people. All of these facts, by the way, will be available on my website. Everything that you see here, all the links, all the resources will be on my website, and I'll give you the link to that website at the close of this programming. When I think, going back, I think it's important to understand the person that you're listening to. For example, I am a loyal American. I am a veteran of my own country. My son is 5th generation military. Shoot, my mom even served in the military where she met my father. A cute story about that. I won't get into it, but who was military police in the Army. Myself, Army, it's just a long line of military, strong, loyal military family, and I'm very proud of that fact. And very, very, I think that having a strong military is extremely important, as I think most of us are aware of and do agree with. So I believe that strong and good government in serving our country is important. But I also believe that fair news reporting is equally as important, because if we don't have the fair news, let's face it, the world is listening to us. Americans are listening to us. And if we're giving not the full truth, if we're just doing news because we're inflating our own best interests, we're looking for the best ratings, we're competing against each other, and I'm not going to name names, but we're competing against each other for ratings / i.e. money, then how are Americans supposed to believe this anymore? I mean, people talk about fake news. Some people don't like to hear the word fake news because maybe they don't like Trump. It doesn't matter who you support and who you don't support. The fact of the matter is we need to abolish fake news. And fake news means that things are embellished. If you do a thesaurus on what fake news means, one of the terminologies is assumed data. Okay, it's not reality, it's not fact. So let's be fair and report what's true. I care about the world for my grandchildren. Okay, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'm doing this for my grandchildren. I want them to have a better world, and I want them to be able to enjoy what I've enjoyed and what other Americans have enjoyed, and that's travel around the world. That's learning new cultures around the world, because until we learn our cultures better, let's face it, Americans, I'm kind of embarrassed in a way. There's other Americans that come here and they don't know their geography. They don't know the history of the world. And why? Because we have everything in the U.S.? Yes, the U.S. is beautiful. It's blessed and it's bountiful. But there's other parts of the world that are just as beautiful as well. And why should we deprive each other of traveling and experiencing these cultures and the people and the generous, kind people who love Americans? Let's keep it going in the right direction. So I want to help. I think that we should be cleansing the world of lies. Really. We need to help do that. We need to be on a campaign to do that. I mean, what's wrong with being ethical? I mean, people forget what that word means. That's what I built my business on. What we have built as a team, our business on, is ethics, truth, honesty, reporting fairness, ethiks, saying the pros, saying the cons. When I'm with a client, do I tell them, that everything's beautiful? No, I don't. Of course I tell them that no place is perfect. When people come to a resort, I think sometimes that they think they entered heaven. Whoa! That nothing bad's going to happen to them. They're not going to get a tummy ache. They're not going to get sunburn. And if they drink while they're on medication, especially heart medications, that nothing's going to happen to them. Well, you know what, they probably wouldn't do that at home. So why do they think that when they come here, they can let their hair down? You know, maybe they're out of shape a little bit. They come here. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the details of every single person on here, because all we're doing by clicking on all the social media and clicking on what the news wants us to click on is we're promoting them. The more clicks they see, the more they say, yay, more better our ratings are going to be. Stop it. We've got to stop it. You've got to do your own research and stop believing everything that you hear. It's really important. When I was a little girl, I used to babysit. And I loved babysitting so much, I love kids so much, that I would leave and forget that I got paid for it. I still kind of do that with real estate. I love being with my clients so much, showing them properties. I forget sometimes that I actually, if I make a sale, I get paid for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's not a dirty word, and you do need reliable representation here. Of course you do. So also, you know, when I walk my dog around my condo community, which is beautiful. I live in Cocotel. That's where we're filming today. Absolutely beautiful, right on a championship golf course. Just absolutely fantastic. Love living here. And when I walk my dog around my condo community, I see weeds sometimes. Now, I'm not saying the gardeners don't do a fabulous job. They do, but, you know, they got a lot of others. This is a big community. They got a lot of other weeds to pull. They can't get every single weed. So I do my part. I see a weed, I pull it. I actually kind of like pulling weeds. I kind of miss pulling weeds. And gardeners get a little upset with me because they say, no, you can't be pulling weeds, because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. They're so hardworking. But I'm not trying to get them to lose their job. I just don't really like weeds. And the moral of this, or what I'm trying to get at, is that with weeds, let me see what I put here. If you let weeds grow, what happens is they overwhelm the tropical life, the good plants that are being planted, and they choke out those intended plants. The same principle applies to bad people with money-hungry agendas versus humble people who work hard for what they have. So, you know, it's okay. I don't mind pulling the weeds and keeping things beautiful. And I think that more people need to do that. When people walk by and they say, oh, there's trash, well, do something about it. Bend down and pick it up. Start a trash campaign. I mean, do something. Sit there and complain about everything all the time. And speaking about complaining, I didn't really want to talk about this, but, you know, there's all this bad publicity is coming out, not just, you know, these resort deaths, but now they're talking about, you know, this accident that happened in I think it was January of this year, about an American couple that was driving to the airport, and they found the car, or they found later that the car was in the ocean, and apparently they got in a car accident and they drove off the road. Well, it's also been reported that they were drinking and driving, and it was dark, and it was Santo Domingo. I mean, really? Would you do that as a tourist, renting a car, drinking and driving at night, Santo Domingo? That's a lot of risk. So I didn't want to talk about this, but I myself was involved in a car accident in the Dominican Republic on Christmas Day of 2017. No other person involved, no reckless driving, no drinking involved whatsoever. My friend, who's police, was driving, and it just happened to be one of those tropical rains, and there was a dip in the highway that stretched out about 8-10 feet. Water filled up very rapidly, as tropical rains do. He apparently, I don't remember the whole accident, but apparently he hit that water, and the car started a hydroplane, lost control, and it flipped approximately 8 times. Well, I shouldn't have lived. I'm sure we'll show a couple pictures of my car and a couple other pictures as well in this programming, but I shouldn't have lived, and I don't know why. God spared me. They always say that. Well, many of my friends say that, well, you were spared for a reason. God has bigger plans for you. And I pray, God, I hope they're not too big, because I really just want to stay humble. I really just want to speak the truth, and I really just want to live my life. And I don't need to be rich. I just need to be happy, and I really want a better world for not only my family, but other Americans in the rest of the world, and for the Dominican Republic for sure. So, so getting back to that, the point is with the weed situation, you know, I didn't go back and say, oh, I'm going to go get a lawsuit against whoever constructed the highway in the Dominican Republic, and I'm going to get some money out of this. That wasn't my intent at all. It was never even crossed my mind. Why? Because money is not my motivator. Maybe more people need to have money as not their motivator. Maybe we need to put our priorities in straight or not. Whether you're Christian or not Christian, there's a priority in what your priorities should be in your life. There certainly are. And I think more people need to tune into that and tone into that again to realize what truth is and what's important in life. So blaming others or trying to get money from businesses or institutions is not in my nature. There's numerous good people in the U.S. Oh my goodness. You know, it's so sad that the news reports and even here in the Dominican Republic, when the news they report coming from the U.S., they report it's violence and it's shootings and it's, you know, in resorts, shootings and deaths and on and on and on and on of all these. I mean, I was blown away by the statistics. In fact, I couldn't even, it would have been 50 pages long had my initial response was how many deaths are there in the U.S., how many this, that, and the other are in the U.S. And I will touch on that a little bit in comparing the Punta Cana or Dominican Republic with the closest state size. I will get into some statistics on that because it is important. But the point of the matter is, I think that really, there's a lot of good people in the U.S. I think that the problem is, you know, a lot of us are too busy working and raising our families. And maybe some of us are afraid that if we speak out, even if well-intended and speaking from our heart and the truth, that maybe we're a little bit afraid of what the news might say about us. So people got to stop being afraid. You really got to stop being afraid to speak the truth. So Dominican size, let's get back to that. Let's compare the U.S. crime to, we're going to talk about this page in a little bit right now. Again, crime, shootings, domestic violence, even death, related to drugs, drinking, overdoses happens every second in the U.S., every second. Every second. All right, that's extreme. So here, getting back to the size, the Dominicans are one of the most about the Dominican people, the Dominicans are one of the most non-violent people. It used to be, prior to all this news coming out, that's exactly why people were coming to the Dominican Republic, because of their humble, sweet nature. They're non-violent people. They just aren't violent. 95% of Dominicans are Christian. Again, whether you're a Christian or not Christian, and I'm not trying to, you know, to get involved with any religious protocol at all. I mean, I myself am a Christian, but whether you are or not, that has nothing to do with it. But even non-Christian people will agree that they prefer to work with somebody that is a Christian. Why? Because typically, not always, but their morals and values are going to be in line with what the Bible teaches us. So anyway, so here's an interesting point. Here's the Dominican flag. And if you look in the center of the Dominican flag, you can see a little bit of blow up here. And if you blow that up, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit distorted view, but you're going to see that there's a cross and there's the Bible. Did you know that the Dominican Republic flag is the only flag in the entire world that has the Christian cross and the Bible? 95% of Dominicans are proclaimed Christians. Now, does that account for a violent country? Come on, let's use our common sense here. I think, again, it's really important, I can't stress it enough, that we Americans become more educated about our geography and world history and culture. And the only way you're going to do that is by traveling. So stop being afraid. Get out and travel. Let's talk about the Dominican Republic and its geographic location. Dominican Republic, as I said, second largest island in the Caribbean. We have strong ties. The U.S. and the Dominican Republic have very strong ties together. And we have to have a strong strategic location in the Dominican Republic. So let's not destroy that, okay? Let's keep our great ties with the Dominican Republic so we have some good strategic allies here. Dominican Republic encompasses 2/3 of the island called Hispaniola. 1/3 of the island, approximately, is Haiti. Haiti is about a 9-hour drive away still. Even with the new highway, about a 9-hour drive away. And so it's not like it's right over here. So Dominican Republic The capital is Santo Domingo, and that's about 2.5-hour drive away. And that's with the new highway. I remember when it was a 5.5-hour drive. So I remember when Punta Cana, specifically the Bavaro area, we came here in 2008, majority dirt roads. We didn't even have reliable internet at all. We used to have to go to at that time, the Bamboo restaurant, where everybody was fighting for a signal. So very, very difficult times. And now, wow, incredible. You can't even keep track of all the growth here, which I've discussed in another show, so I won't go down that road. But the booming economy is just phenomenal here. I'm gonna read a little bit more here. The Dominican Republic is the fastest growing country in the Caribbean and is ranked 10th out of 193 countries in the world. The U.S. is ranked, by the way, 107th. The Dominican Republic has enjoyed strong economic growth in the recent years, averaging 5.1% annually between 2008 and 2018, the second highest in LAC. The pace accelerated to an average of 6.6% per year between 2014 and 2018. Why? Because of all the resorts that were being built during 2014, 2018 especially, and 7% in 2018. That's when all the tourists and all these resorts were here. Wow, and it's fueled by robust domestic demand and is the fastest growing, as I said, in the LAC economy over that 5-year period. The sustained growth has reduced poverty and inequality, helping to expand the middle class here in the Dominican Republic. Isn't that what we all are hoping for, is to develop a middle class society? Aren't most of us most of us Americans middle class, you know, the taxpayers? So with the 2018 GPD, the gross product is 6.40. The U.S. was 2.40, okay, in the same year. The GPD, by the way, is the world indicator showing which countries are best to invest in. Hint, hint. The Dominican Republic is not a third world country. Come on, people. Learn your history. Again, that they haven't used that term since the Cold War. So, and I know a lot of people, even intelligent people, use it. It's not a third world country. One reason to be a third world country, if you're going to go by today's standards, is you have to be a country that's got starvation. We don't have starvation here. Look around, it's plentiful, it's green, it's lush, and even if the people don't have a lot of money, they're happy people. And it's a very plush. You grow a seed in the ground, and granted, it's going to be growing up in no time at all to whatever you want. So everything, agriculture, very strong, everything is wonderful here. So this is one of the reasons that my partner and I chose the Dominican Republic to work and invest in versus other countries that we did actually physically visit. Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, even Puerto Rico, where my mother's from, went all over there. But that's, you know, part of the U.S. And of course, taxes are still higher, especially if you're an American. So resorts just in Punta Cana. Again, Punta Cana encompasses just Punta Cana over 60 resorts. 52 are all-inclusive resorts. And that's along, well, a 100-mile coastline. Of that, we talk about the 30-mile coastline is where primarily the 52 all-inclusive resorts are, and that are protected by coral reefs. We don't really get hurricanes because of its protection from, I've talked about that in other shows, from Puerto Rico, as well as the high pressures, low pressures, the dynamic shape and location of the east coast of the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana. So we really don't get hurricanes. So that's been a great feature as to why the resorts have done so well. They don't have to worry about hurricanes. They don't have to worry with the coral reef about undertows. So, you know, as long as they're within that 30-mile reef line. Mexico has 102 resorts, but that's spread over 9,330 kilometers. That's 5,797 miles. That's 102 resorts. So you can see with the size of the Dominican Republic's coastline, yeah, we've really capitalized on the resort scene here for sure. Approximately 100 flights a day come into Punta Cana alone. 100 flights a day. That's not just Americans. That's from all over the world. So again, this isn't about the U.S. Come on, U.S. There's a lot of other people who are just waiting to hear what the U.S. says. Let's report real news so that the rest of the world is not afraid to come too. Do we really want to cripple a country? A country that probably most newscasters have even enjoyed themselves, but now it's all about ratings. Dominican Republic is part of the Americas. In 2017, there were 208.7 million international tourist arrivals to the Americas. That's the total. An increase of 4% from 2016. And the Dominican Republic ranked 7th. I think we're way up there. 2018, we're way up from there. Tourism is the largest economic business, as I said before. If resorts lose tourists, the country will suffer significantly. So the world must have balanced reports. The World Health Organization, as I said, and the FBI are here investigating now with cooperation with the Dominican officials and police here. Great. They're cooperating hand in hand to come up with the truth so that we can share the truth. Although alcohol-related deaths happen several times a day throughout the U.S., it appears that it's the Dominican Republic's turn to get the pin. It could have been another country. Let's just face it. It just unfortunately had to be the Dominican Republic that we're now focusing on, because there have been similar situations in resorts around the world, but that hasn't made headline news. So cruise ships, for example. Did you know that cruise ships have, on an average, 200 deaths a year? 200 deaths a year. In fact, I was Googling and I found out that cruise ships even have an archive of deaths. In the archive of the names of the people, honoring the names of the people who have died on a cruise. So are we going to stop traveling altogether? So anyway, so now let's compare as I said, the statistics with one of the closest state sizes. And that would be, at this point, Georgia. Now, I'm not picking on Georgia. I love Georgia. My daughter-in-law is from Georgia, and she is the sweetest belle, as I call her, anybody could ever know. So although West Virginia is closer to the size of the Dominican Republic, I'm going to report it on the Georgia, because love Georgia. For sure, I love Georgia, but it's closer in population. Even so, closer in population. Again, Georgia's is 69,700 square meters, Dominican Republic 48,442 square meters. However, there's 4.9 people in 2018 reported by the census in Georgia. There's 10.77 million people reported in the Dominican Republic. So that's 5.8 million more people in the Dominican Republic. So not to go on, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can certainly read on my outline that's going to be available on my website. But according to the 2018 Georgia Bureau of Investigations, 48 people were killed alone in 92 police officer-involved shootings across the state. So, wow. Information Center, 700 people were murdered in Georgia last year, 2,687 rapes, 9,878 robberies, 23,256 aggravated assaults, and get this, 53,404 crisis calls in Georgia alone. Quick focus, I wanted to point out 2018 homicide rates in Latin America and the Caribbean. Okay, so Dominican Republic is in the blue, at the very bottom of the blue, right next to Panama, which is in the clear, with homicide rates per 100,000. So, you can see this report on your own. It'll be on my link as well on my website. But, Panama just below Dominican Republic. Above that, these are going worse. Uruguay, Costa Rica, worse starting to get in the orange, Puerto Rico, Guatemala, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, and then even a little bit worse, Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, and then in the red, pretty much, Honduras and Jamaica. That's in the not quite red, but the dark pink. And then, of course, El Salvador, with Venezuela being the #1 most dangerous, where the most homicides have occurred. So very important. Dominican Republic, way down there, even beats out, Puerto Rico. It beats out Mexico, beats out Belize, and beats out Jamaica. Wow. That's amazing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the deaths. Okay, so they're reporting 4 deaths so far in Bahia Principe, in La Romana, by the way, a 2.5-hour drive from Punta Cana. They're still investigating that. We don't know. It's too soon to tell. It appears that there were medications that these people were taking. I'm sure in combination with drinking doesn't help, and especially if you're out in the sun all day. So let's try to keep that balance as well. Let's wait to hear what the investigations show. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those because I'm sure you're all Googling and clicking on all those and giving ratings to all those different news networks right now anyway. So I'm not going to add to that fuel. So Talbot Recovery Report in 2018, the alcohol statistic. Alcoholism affects people from all walks of life, according to the United States Center for Disease Control, the CDC. More than 88,000 people die from alcohol-related deaths each year. Won't go on to that. That's more on that again. So, of course, we have all these people. Now, I do want to focus on one person because this is not anything to do with their investigation on possible alcohol coming from not even maybe the Dominican Republic. We don't know. They're still investigating that possible. I'm not trying to discount that it's not, that maybe there wasn't some bootleg type alcohol that was purchased knowingly, unknowingly. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm not an investigator. So, however, I do want to focus on the Tammy Lawrence-Daley from Delaware, because that's what really started and ignited this whole thing. Let's face it. Tammy Lawrence-Daley. She writes 4 months later, after her supposedly assault, her violent assault in the resort here in Punta Cana. She reports 4 months later on Facebook. Okay, so 4 months. Why does she wait so long? Okay, she doesn't want to file a police report. Three times she was asked, please, and her husband, we need to file a police report so we can do an investigation. She didn't want anything to do with it. She was asked at least 2 times that she needed to get the U.S. Embassy involved. She didn't want to do that either. Kind of strange, don't you think? And then, so she says that she was attacked from behind. She's not sure what happened to her, so she didn't say rape or anything like that, which they showed through their results here. Yes, there was a rape test that she was not raped at all. So the damages are solely to her face, but she was attacked from behind. So I'm trying to figure out how you grab somebody and you go like this. I don't know. That just seems really strange, doesn't it? So even the news has kind of dropped that story way down. But let's face it, something ignited the story. Something started that little domino effect. Sorry, Dominicans, I know dominoes are your favorite game, but that's what we refer to, a domino effect. So, So it's a peculiar story. It's not adding up. She asked for $2.2 million, is my understanding, from the resort, and the resort said, no, we're still investigating. And now when they said no to her claim, all of a sudden, 4 months later, she's, up in arms. And even the U.S. Themselves is very skeptical about this particular story. And I don't know, insurance fraud, I don't know. Big Papi. I don't want to step on any toes for baseball fans by far. Let's face it, I think Dominican Republic has more Dominican baseball players, professional baseball players than anywhere in any other country. I'm pretty sure about that. I don't know. I didn't do the stats on that one because other stats were more important. But Big Papi, David Ortiz from the Red Sox, he's at a club, he gets shot. So currently, just so you know, the club that he was at, it's possible, it's speculated that the club owner, not the most up and up person, possibly into some drugs. Did it have something to do with his mistress here? Ooh, I'm sorry, I should have said that because he's a married man, but could it have something to do with his mistress here that he bought an expensive car for, and maybe there was a little jealousy between the club owner and this? What's the correlation? So far, we do know that the police here have already arrested 9 and that they're still seeking out 4 other assailants involved with this particular setup crime. So was David Ortiz all up and up? I don't know. We're still investigating that. Let's hope so. So in part, as I said, Tammy started this whole thing. You know, I read one this morning about, and I don't know, didn't get the date, it's not on this report, but I'll probably add it to it, about that the U.S. is giving a scale of 2 for warnings as far as travel advisories here, out of 4, 2 out of 4, which is not good. Well, somewhere in the middle. And what they were also saying was that, you know, burglary and violence and rapes, really rapes, and shootings are like, and that the government is soft on criminals? Really? Soft on criminals? If that's the case, here's what I recommend. How about we have Tammy Lawrence-Daley come back to the Dominican Republic, face trial here since it's jurisdiction, that's where she claims all of this happened. Let her face trial here. Let it be an equal panel of Americans and Dominicans since it happened here, but she's American. Let's be fair across the board. And let's have her come back, and if she's found guilty, which most likely it appears that she will be, let's have her go to jail in the Dominican Republic. Let's see how light the crime is. She'll be lucky, maybe she'll be lucky in her shared cell to have a cot, if she's lucky, and maybe she'll be lucky enough to have somebody bring 3 meals a day to her, if she's lucky. And maybe if she's really, really lucky, maybe she might have a view outside her bars with the beautiful tropical palm trees, if she's lucky. So that's what I say. I mean, if it happened in the U.S., I mean, we'd be demanding that they come to the U.S. and face trial there? Of course we would. So, you know, government's staying quiet about that. You know, everybody's kind of complaining that the government's staying quiet about not getting involved, but I think they're just waiting for the investigation to come out and deal with it at that time, rather than a bunch of propaganda, and they said this, and now, is that what we want? We want the Dominican government to stand forward and start saying this and then look like a liar because they pre-said something? Oh, you know, I'll probably get the beating for that during this airing. I don't care, I'm American. If somebody's gonna tell their opinion of it, let it be another American. So instead, here's what I propose at the close of mine. I propose that the government continue to work side by side with the World Health Organizations and the FBI. Let's get the findings of this so that we can report the truth. Let's get Tammy Lawrence-Daley to come back, face trial here. And maybe we'll give her a break. Maybe she does a public international apology. Maybe, you know, she won't have to pay any fines and won't have to go to jail here, although she should. Stop making the U.S. look bad, media. And President, it's your country. It really is your country. So, you know, let's continue to take an active part in being involved. Thank you for working side by side with the U.S. I know that you love the U.S. I know that you have ties with the U.S. on a personal level as well. So, you know, make official statements when they're ready to be made, please. Let's disclose reports pertaining to those excessive drinking investigations for sure. Let's report all the positive measures that are already in place, all the extra police that have been brought in throughout the entire country. The police, highway police, the MOPE, the Sestur or Politur, the police for tourists, the national police, even the AMIT, the traffic police. Let's report about all the increases of those type of police that we have. And while we're at it, why don't we increase the salary of some of these police, since they are still one of the lowest, I'm sorry, but lowest paying professions here in the country. You know, you want good police and you want safety, which we do have. I'm surprised with the low wages that they get, but why don't we increase their wages, especially if they speak English? Wow, wouldn't you want a police that speaks English if something, if you had a tummy ache and had to go to the hospital or file a police report or talk to the, want somebody to call the U.S. Embassy, wouldn't you want somebody that speaks English? So let's, please, let's government, let's talk about increasing that wage for and make it a job, a profession, a police job, a profession here that Dominicans want to do. Well, here's a start. How about you remove the tap access liquor bottles from all the rooms, since that seems to be where the focus is. Cameras for bartenders serving alcohol. Nobody likes to have cameras. They're on resorts, you know. Oh, cameras. Aren't we going on vacation to get away from all the cameras? But whatever, if they need to do that, then maybe have it for the bartenders, you know. Have tourists sign a waiver of liability. The U.S. would expect it. I'm sure they do. I'm sure when you sign your resort thing, I'm sure they have a waiver of liability. So to say that that's out of the question, they shouldn't sign a waiver of liability if they drink too much and they're taking medication, if they are out in the sun too long, that they need to sign a waiver of liability, that the resort's not responsible for their bad decisions. Really? I would say if I had a resort, I would offer vacation incentives to Americans. You know, Americans love a good deal. So do it try it before you can't say bye. Try it yourself campaign. Offer discounts, airlines. Come on, Punta Cana International Airport is the only, my understanding, the only international airport in the world now. And you know, a lot of times people say, oh, the cost of flying to the Dominican Republic is a little high because it's a private airport. So let's give some discounts, you know, and the rest of the world's going to jump on the bandwagon too. So make it a time period for 6 months. I don't know. Media, again, can't emphasize enough. You got to be balanced and report fair. I mean, there is a campaign right now. It's called the hashtag #BeFairWithDR, social media on Facebook. Hashtag #BeFairWithDR. Okay, and I'm sure that we're going to show that up across the screen for people to jump on there. And you know what I say? Stop it, complainers. This is not TripAdvisor because you got a bellyache. If you've been to this country before, I challenge you, and you loved it and you had a great experience and you like coming here all the time, get on that and start telling the world your positive opinions. We don't need a bunch of negative thoughts on there. We got enough of that going on, don't we? So that's what I think needs to be happening. Tourists, investors. Let's not forget about the investors. I working with one yesterday. And of course the top of his mind was, oh, well, this is a great time to buy. Of course it is. Investors aren't stupid. This is a great time to buy. So while you're all sleeping and you're scared, all these smart investors are out investing in this country because, you know, as time passes, they'll jump on to another country to pick on later. So yeah, invest now. Tourists, show the world you're tired of propaganda. Really, you've got to show the world you're tired of propaganda. You've got to keep coming to the Dominican Republic. You've got to get on some of these campaigns and report your good experiences. So anyway, tourists from all over the world continue to come here. Oh, and if you're afraid of the resorts, I mean, I don't want to slam the resorts. The resorts are what bring the tourist here. And then usually people are at the resort 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, some Canadians 12 times. And then they decide they want to rent a condo. And so we have beautiful condos that many property managers here, not just myself, that we have many condos here. So rent a condo if you're afraid. In fact, I think it's really important that we go out and talk to some of these people that are renting condos in the fun, safe, touristic zone of what we call El Cortocito, Los Corrales. Go out and talk to them and ask them how many times they've been here, where they're from, where they're staying, are they renting a condo, what brings them here, and if they've ever felt afraid. I think that's what we really need to do. So don't believe me. Let's talk to other people that are here right now. All right, thank you. I guess that's it. I've talked a lot. I appreciate your time again and attention. Let's hope that at least 98% of my report is accurate. I try not to go by hearsay, but the news keeps changing every day. Investigations are still going on, and let's hope that 95% is true, and that if there is 5% that's not, let's hope that's not what they're going to focus on and zoom in on. Let's hope it's the 95% positive and true. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me again. Hi, this is Maria. We're reporting live in the touristic zone of Los Corrales, next to El Cortocito. And today I came across, you are?
Sarah Mox.
And Sarah, where are you from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, okay. So an American, guys. Okay. First time here?
Yes.
And are you renting a condo here?
Yes.
And where's the condo that you're being rented?
In Los Corrales Beach Village.
Okay,
right on
excellent.
the beach.
Okay, oh, nice, very nice. Okay, so first time here, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think about all the news going on right now? Do you get out much? Tell me a little bit about yourself and your travels.
Well, I'm here with my other half, and we're world travelers. I don't feel any less safe here than I do anywhere else in the world that we've traveled. We've been a lot of places in the Caribbean, in Mexico, and it's very much similar culture as long as you're being cognizant of what you're consuming and where you're traveling to at what time of day. I don't see anything different. It's just another lovely place.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. And again, I can't emphasize enough. I've been here 11 years. I get out a lot of times at night. There was another Canadian couple I was talking to. She's a grandmother with her son and her grandson. They didn't want to be on television because she just came off the beach. But she said herself she's been coming here many times. And never there's been a fear. She comes out late at night with her friends. She's an older woman. Never had a fear in the world. Comes here all the time. Loves it. So you'll come back, you think?
Possibly, yes. We love the Caribbean. We love being down here. But yes, been very hospitable. And like I said, yes, we're walking around with our own drinks, but that's because we're being cautious.
Exactly.
But other than that, I think
Yep.
there's a good possibility.
Exactly. So once we clear this mess up, hopefully it's going to be positive for the Dominican Republic. But it's good to know, like I said, that the FBI is here, the World Health Organization is here, everybody's here. They're investigating it. They're doing the best they can. The government's been cooperative in investigating with the U.S. And let's find out what the truth is, and let's go from there and see what happens. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.